Internet, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Paper Cuts Podcast. Brando is hosting tonight, but I fucked up the intro while he was doing that, so by way of apology, I'm recording this little bit right here. My name is James Manderson. As I said already, Brando's with me.
Yes.
As is Dan Jackman, Mark Mercury, and the one and only Matthew Chang. Tonight we're going to be discussing DC Comics' Rebirth line. We're about 4 or 5 months in, something like that, guys.
4
4 months in.
Yeah.
But since
quarter year.
Like putting out like 8 issues a month on every book, there's a lot to digest.
Yeah, it's like 40 issues, 30 some fucking issues total out there right now. So here we are. Okay, we're gonna do a roundtable reactions to start us off. Jim, I'm gonna put you back right on. Throwback. Tell me, how has Rebirth been treating you?
Well, Rebirth is no joke, Brando.
Oh my god. You have no idea how unserious we were before this started. Anyway, Jim, continue.
Did you know that there are maybe 3 Jokers right now in the Rebirth continuity?
I did.
Yeah.
I fucking read that one, Rebirth fucking huge ass 82-page shit that they sent out.
Yeah.
It was amazing and then really confusing.
Yeah, it makes less and less sense as time goes on because I feel like, but I don't want to start this out with any negativity or bitching or anything like that you might find in like a Reddit comment thread. I fucking love Rebirth.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge DC fanboy. The time I came into DC was sort of the early 2000s, like basically everything that happened before 52 or the new 52 is like my jam. Like, that's my era.
Like the 52?
Well, 52, like the crossover story, was kind of my jumping on point. But basically everything that the new 52 threw out was like where my heart lives and beats. And,
Word. Okay, so.
TLDR, I fucking love Rebirth. Everything they're doing with Batman and Superman, like all 4 comics. 5, I guess? Maybe 6.
Yeah, Jesus. All-Star Detective. I'm not even going to count them off, but yeah.
Yeah. Like Detective, Batman, All-Star, I'm all about. Fucking love them. This is my favorite Superman stuff that's been happening in years, like in like his main titles. I couldn't be happier. Green Arrow is like back to being like what I feel like Green Arrow ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even feeling Aquaman. I, as a Teen Titans fanboy, I haven't been this happy since like 2009. So like I'm doing good. I'm doing good on Rebirth. Rebirth is treating me well. I can't believe that the quality is as consistent as it is with the rate that it's coming out. I figured bi-monthly was gonna just, dilute it.
Yeah. But the slave labor. Well, as we discussed earlier, slave labor produces results.
Yeah.
But it's not slave labor. It's just forced via deadlines. So the pressure seems to be paying off at DC Comics headquarters. But yeah, Chang, how about you? Reactions.
You guys are gonna hear a lot of echoing because Rebirth is just great. The new 52 was actually my jam, with my jumping on point with all the SU1s and reading about all these characters. But as I said previously, I've learned to love all this outdoor stuff and actually enjoy learning about the legacy of what these characters were that didn't necessarily exist until now. So it's really rewarding to me to have gone back and read all the old stuff. For new fans, it's something that they can just keep reading Rebirth and learn about it, because they're kind of introducing it bits by piece, which is really satisfying. Mm-hmm. And yet they're still doing different stuff, so I'm sure I'll get into that later on in the cast. But
yeah,
absolutely 100%. I'm finally being rewarded for my fandom. Like, New 52 definitely was rocky. Okay. I can see that mainly now because I see the improvement in the writing. Mm-hmm. And yay, DC!
Alright. Overall celebration in that corner. Moving over to the dark side of the Batman shirt. Mark.
Hi, my name's Mark.
Oh, and I'm Yoda. I just noticed that.
So I think I came to DC Comics a little after Jim, but a little before Chang. And I read a lot of new stuff at that time. I'm talking around 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. And I also went back really heavily into reprints and bought pretty much every DC collection reprint book things I could.
Yeah.
And mainlined all that till about 2011, and then the New 52 came out, and I bought a lot of it. But by about a year in, it started to sink in that none of this was very good. There were exceptions, obviously, but they were fewer and far between. And, you know, as time went on, they got even fewer as the creative teams that were good, like George Perez and Brian Azzarello, shifted away from the books that they'd been good on. And I became really disenchanted with DC till by the point last year I was only buying Grayson and Flash. I was down to 2 books out of all of DC, which I'd always had a much higher DC intake than that. So when I was also reading Dr. Fate, wasn't I? Okay, that doesn't matter. The point is...
Which is still around, but is getting canceled.
Maybe?
But
It's finishing.
no, it's finishing.
Oh, it's finishing.
It's
For
announced
finishing.
16 is the last one.
Okay.
He'll continue his story in Blue Beetle.
Well, I
know, right? Exciting.
I did not know that. I'd stopped... Since Rebirth, I've stopped picking up Dr. Fate.
Well timed.
Yeah. Now, earlier we were talking about what comics we're reading. It's easier for me to list the ones that I haven't been reading.
Which you did, yeah.
It's really just down to like 5 or 6 DC titles that I'm not reading. So they've pretty much taken someone who had become entirely disenchanted with DC Comics, and they've got them back on board buying their things twice a month. I mean, I'm reading Superwoman. I never thought I'd read a Superwoman comic. I'm enjoying Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman
Like,
is amazing.
I would have taken a solid bet that I would never enjoy an Aquaman comic. So, you know, it's one of the most encouraging things I've seen in like mainstream superhero comics in half a decade.
That's right. Dan, we don't really need to have this conversation. Well, with the fucking comic pile next to me, but go ahead.
I love DC Rebirth so much. So much! I read so much new fucking 52, and I tried really, really hard into it, and I found the special gems of the collection, including Wonder fucking Woman! Okay, but it was so fucking wonderful. And to go and see DC kind of flip around and shift continuity again to that it would include pre-Flashpoint shit makes it even that much more richer than it was beforehand, which is a fucking beautiful thing. To date, I've been following like all fucking Superman books. My god, when have I ever fucking followed all Superman books? It's crazy! Why? Because DC Rebirth.
I followed him on during Divergence too when he was going around in a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah, he was all
I
about that.
followed it from 41 forward because there was a new status quo, and then I had to keep on going through the death of Superman, and then I got throughput over through Lois and Clark, and then I came out the other end. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is Superman so good? Why is Action Comics so fucking good? I'm not reading Justice League, but Lex Luthor is kind of compelling. Like, what the fuck? Green Arrow? Man, what? Like, really? Lana Lang is the new Superwoman? This is fucking insane. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It has very excellent twists. At the same time, it doesn't take away from what I already know, which is a lot. I know a lot.
I think that's the biggest strength of this is like people don't seem to really know what to call it. Like it's not a reboot, it's not exactly a soft reboot, it's just a inclusion boot. Like what the fuck do you call that? Like New 52 is all still there. But they just said through the power of vagueness, they said, but everything before Flashpoint still counts. So everybody who wanted something has it there. It's like you can pick whatever you want from the menu, whatever flavor that you wanted from DC is now
It's like,
available.
don't worry, all these main characters are the pre-Flashpoint characters. They just don't know it. Except for Superman, who we killed and replaced with the old Superman. But we're going to be really vague about that for a long time.
Not too long,
until we
actually.
decide to go and tell you what that is through an event.
But yeah. No, I agree, yeah, because it's not... New 52 is like... The New 52 was a like a line wide like stab, like
Yeah.
like a clean cut. Whoosh,
Yeah.
is new now. Like this is not what it was. This is fucking completely different.
They put
Whereas,
new
like-
on it. They took away Superman's underwear. It was hardcore, guys.
It was crazy. Everyone was hard.
Even now, Superman doesn't have underwear.
Yeah.
They took
I would call-
away Red Robin's Robin stats.
Yeah, they did.
This is such a motherfuck.
Just left him with. Actually, well, it's still Red Robin, but it took away the Robin like
Yeah.
prestige.
They just like named him after a hamburger restaurant chain and like.
Yum.
They got an advertising campaign going that you don't even know about.
Yeah, seriously.
I would call Rebirth like a process. You know what I'm saying? Like a process. Like it's a granuation of slowly shifting back into what, or sifting more of that old taste back into the Red Robin burger. That is DC Comics.
For me, it's definitely been a shift in mood. I know the initial special by
Everyone
Jeff
was
Johns
yeah.
was very much all about like there's going to be a war between like love and hate, hope and fear, things that are very good and things
Trees
that are very
and
bad.
metal.
It's like everything Jeff
Objectively.
Johns has ever written. Like it just has a sentiment behind it. Like it's just
Bad people will fight the good.
sweetness and cynicism. What a dichotomy. I've been Jeff Johns. Like,
But it was a
Water.
really touching moment. I was moved by that comic, and since then they've managed to do that on quite a few occasions in the DC Rebirth line. Most notably, far and away my favorite book, Superman. Just every other week is hitting it out of the park. It's
The issue
Patrick
you gave me with the, not to cut you off, but the issue with the carnival,
yeah.
the very down to like earth, very calm, slow paced, just Kent family having a good time. I love that. That was very just warming. Yeah, a warm feeling that I didn't get from most of the 52 books.
When they meet the remnants of the losers on the island that time
island
forgot,
Dude,
right out of DC.
right out of
they fucking wrote a sequel to New Frontier and it didn't feel like sacrilegious at all. And like they were fucking like in the fucking line where he like the Superman's kid like was like, you named a pterodactyl Myrna, and he's he's from the Thin Man movie. Oh wait, you wouldn't understand. Shut up. Like keep your head in the game, Sonny. Like, yeah, dude.
It was such a great homage too, I think, to Darwin Cook.
Yeah.
Like just to incorporate that and just say, you know, we haven't forgotten him either.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
And from that to Red Robin's moment in Detective to even just this past week in the Kid Flash of Two Worlds, that was a very moving comic, and that's surprising because I thought the Flash has been one of the weaker books to this point, but this issue really redeemed a lot of it.
I think one of the really coolest strengths of like DC Rebirth is that it's not really caught up with like, oh yeah, that's right, young people, that is the future of the world. That is what is most important. It is something that's, it is weird because like DC Comics has been around since like what, the 1940s? 30s, 1930s, okay? And yeah, they have yet to like grow up, but yet they're finding this weird point and it was like, oh wait, it's okay that we're married now? It's okay that we have children? It's like growing up again.
Comics in and of itself is like an art form that's kind of really been predominantly enjoyed by the youth. And I mean, not anymore, but like in its design, it is designed for younger people. Almost, you could say children originally. Whereas I'm like, for me, my reaction to Rebirth is like, it's exactly what you're talking about, Dan. Where I really see Marvel as like a contemporary company. It really likes to stay modern, perhaps. I don't really see a whole lot of legacy in Marvel Comics as much as I incorporate that image, like that word and ideology in my mental image of DC Comics, where I'm like, these characters are old school comics. Like Superman is fucking the definition of fucking like Americana hero.
Yeah.
Same thing with Batman. Like he's just an American icon. You know. Same thing with Wonder Woman. Like all those characters, that trinity is just, you could fucking build statues over those characters and people wouldn't be like overly upset. Isn't like there an International Wonder Woman Day now? Like
Yeah, she's a UN ambassador.
yeah, like what the fuck? Like those characters are so prolific that they have international fucking holidays about them. Like
Spider-Man's popular enough, he just wouldn't get it because,
He's
typical
Spider-
Parker luck.
yeah, that's typical Parker. That's the thing. Yes, like
I'm fucking walking here.
like if Batman.
Oh please, people are also afraid of spiders
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You can't have a National Spider-Man Day. People freak out.
If like Batman and Superman are like the emblematic characters of fucking DC, and like you got Spider-Man as like basically like I would say like the flagship character of Marvel, and like he's a youthful character. So whereas Marvel is very youthful, and this isn't going to become the huge DC versus Marvel thing, but as my interpretation, DC values their age and legacy more in their overall imagery, and New 52 really harshed that mellow too much, caught a lot of people off, and I think that's why longevity wise they weren't able to sustain sales perhaps. For some of the stories I feel were very quality. There were a lot of gems in there. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but me personally, I'm kind of speaking out of context because I didn't really buy a whole lot of New 52. If I'm going to be completely honest, I only really bought 3 runs consistently, and they were like all from the Bat family, Batgirl, Nightwing, / Grayson, as it transitioned. And fuck it, it doesn't matter. I was predominantly buying Marvel for the last like year until Rebirth came out, which really sparked my interest. And as a probably the more casual guy in the room, I would probably say, but because I only buy single issues when I have immediate interest. I'm kind of a patient person. I can wait till I get volumes.
Yeah.
And I still have a strong interest in a lot of Marvel titles. I still want to know what's happening in like the totally awesome fucking Hulk or whatever the title is actually.
They
right?
should have added that in there.
The totally awesome
The
fucking
totally
Hulk.
awesome fucking Hulk.
Yeah, I'm still interested in Hulk. I have the first 2 issues. I'm still interested in Miss Marvel. I still have like the first volume and a shitload of issues. I still am interested in Spider-Man. When that even I'm fucking falling off behind on. I'm still interested in a lot of Star Wars titles. I'm still interested in Marvel at large. A lot of comics. I'd say 10 plus comics. But I'm buying mostly Rebirth single issues right now because it's that hot. And I think that they're providing a lot for casual readers and the hardcore guys who fucking feel like they were betrayed by New 52. And I think that's the overall sentiment. Go ahead before I transition.
You just mentioned that you didn't want to turn into a huge DC Marvel thing, but I think there's an element of that is going to come up repeatedly just because part of the reason we're talking about Rebirth is because DC, which had been doing like half the sales of Marvel consistently for about 2 or 3 years now, unless they did some crazy thing where like, we have 12 covers for a single issue. All of a sudden DC's winning.
Yeah, and
we haven't seen that since the New 52.
If we double ship our most popular books
and make them incredibly high quality,
I was gonna say
it's gonna like land with people. Yeah,
the
Marvel and DC are like black and white right now. I always hate the people who are like a fanboy for one publisher and like somehow say that the other one sucks. That's just stupid to me. But holy shit, I feel like I don't know what really came first, but I feel like Marvel decided to go super duper duper like Brandon, what you were saying, like let's be Marvel. This is kind of one of the things that we do from time to time, and really revamp and update, right? Make everything sleek and youthful, and try to target like I don't know, like the fucking internet, like
but they took a different approach to it. Yeah, like Mark was saying earlier, Jeff Johns really prioritizes joy and happiness and like that really black and white morality shite that is going on right now with Rebirth. Like, oh, we're happy again. Like you see that one spread that for the Rebirth promotional material, and like everyone is smiling.
Yeah.
But you haven't fucking seen DC characters for years, at least for the last 5 years specifically for New 52. And for some reason, not only were they trying to modernize, but they were trying to like tone it towards angst and anger. And I feel like we've probably conversated about this in other podcasts at length about how New 52 kind of angled itself emotionally as an overall line. But I feel like that didn't play to its strength either, because I feel like that might be, is that out of date now? Like that kind of angst? Or that just sort of like, since they were trying to go for a youth, maybe they felt like they needed that kind of edge. Because a lot of people associate edge with New 52. I'm not crazy, right?
I understand what you're saying. It's hard for me to pin down edginess or like that sort of adolescent like Slipknot fucking vibe to a particular era.
It's not.
But I'm not feeling any of that right now.
No,
and I definitely was during New 52 for most books.
I would say for like New 52, the biggest point where you feel the edge is very apparent is Superman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Grant Morrison's fucking Superman.
the
Morrison
yeah.
fanboy throwing out all of his ideas was the best thing DC has done in a fucking while, man. Yeah.
Superman, yeah, it was interesting. Like, not being a role model in entirety. You know, being a kind of young, rebellious almost Superman.
But like in a way that like no like teenager would pick it up and be interested in. Like what DC is doing with Green Arrow now.
He's too good to be a rebel. I mean, he's too rebellious to be like Superman. Like, he's in that middle ground that doesn't feel right.
Morrison at the time talked about it, and he wanted to bring back the vibe of like 1930s era socialist revolutionary thought, and I'm like, well, that's cool, but you think a fucking 14-year-old is going to want to pick that up and read about it?
Yeah.
You know,
that's a little wild for me.
That's why I think he almost left the book, is because it's like, if you took a look at most of the New 52 titles, what they really got off on was very simplistic storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that in a necessarily bad way. I'm just saying as in, maybe they thought it would bring it, maybe it did bring in new readers, but everything was broken down into its very simplest components. There were a couple of things that by the virtue of the high profile of their creators, like Grant Morrison, like James Robinson, like Brian Azzarello, managed to continue to tell complex stories, but as the years went on, you started to see those creators disappear, take a secondary role, defect to Marvel, maybe only work in the Earth One sphere of books, like, you know, and so you got a lot of very simplistic storytelling that preferred something that didn't require is the wrong word.
Yeah.
That didn't even necessarily want to pretend that anything had happened prior to it.
Yeah,
It was like that weird point in time where they were trying to go and capture all of the mass market. Like, oh, maybe if we dumb our shit down for like the mass audience, that people would understand it better, and boiling it down to its like base components would be kind of cool, except for when it wasn't.
It's a lot like Ultimate Marvel. I feel like it's the same basic experiment, you know.
That is the best comparison that I've been able to make.
Yeah.
Is that Marvel had been trying to do this thing for years where they launched a second, more realistic universe. And first they tried in the 80s with the new universe, and it failed. And then they tried it with Heroes Reborn in the 90s, and it failed. And then they tried it with the Ultimate Universe in the 2000s, and that kind of succeeded.
For a little bit.
It was exactly
Until they
like,
killed everyone.
exactly like New 52, where for like 2 or 3 years you had 3 or 4 books in Ultimate. And Ultimate wasn't a huge line, but you had a couple that were like sterling. Like, I'll still defend a lot of that shit to this day. Like Ultimates and Ultimate Fantastic Four, Ultimate Spider-Man are fucking like classic comic books. But by the time you get 4 years in, 3 years in, it's a little long in the tooth. You know, nothing's really going anywhere all that special, you know, because you've bound yourself to a starting point. Like, this is a storyline that started here, and where are you gonna go? It's like by the 6th season of a TV show. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Whereas if you keep things like in more gossamer and things are more in flux, and the starting point is somewhere vague. You know, I think
you can't like create a continuum. Like if you anchor it in a starting point. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. A lot of people would say that Rebirth is kind of back to basics, though. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the original quote unquote established traits of characters and whatnot. Return to form. Yes. One thing I've noticed is not a lot of anything but superhero comics. I could say that. Yeah. Like it's very superhero heavy. I think the only non-superhero books are Hellblazer, Deathstroke, arguably
kind of a superhero comic,
and even maybe Suicide Squad.
I'd say that what they're doing kind of smartly there is relegating the stuff that's a little more far out to like the Young Animal line.
That's still a thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
so,
it just started.
They're like trying to essentially say, okay, so we're gonna have our superhero books that are in universe 100%.
Yeah.
And are going to be our bread and butter over here. And now, kind of like the 90s, rather than trying to kill Vertigo like we've been doing for the past 5 years, we're going to make our own little separate Vertigo pool, and that's where our non-strictly superhero stuff is going to play.
Yeah, do you have like Jonah Hex and shit in there? Or
Nah, they've got Doom Patrol, Shade the Changing Girl, Cave Carson has a cybernetic eye, and Mother Panic.
Huh.
But I think, and they all have superhero elements or superhero roots, but none of them are straight superhero comics.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think
yeah.
by putting them to the side, kind of, that's allowed them to focus on universe building in their main titles. I think one of the keys to their success has really been that they introduced an element of choice that was not kind of present beforehand. So, like, with Wonder Woman, let's say you're really into that classic beginning early Wonder Woman story. Then you just buy Wonder Woman once a month. If you're really into modern story, just buy it once a month. But if you want both, you can buy both. They're doing kind of the same things, you know? If you want to have that first generation of Teen Titans, you know, Wally West Red, then you read Titans. If you want to have that kind of new 5th generation of Titans, then you read Teen Titans with Wally West Black. And I think that's by the way, in my head, my new Superman Red, Superman Blue is going to be Wally West Red, Wally West Black. But I think that's actually worked out to their benefit in a lot of ways, if people are like me, because what I saw was, okay, there's a Titans book that is all about the Titans that I like, so I'm going to go out and buy that. But it's only coming out once a month. Most of these other books are coming out twice a month. I really like Damian Wayne. Because I'm not being told that this Wally West is the same Wally West that I grew up reading about, I now no longer have any antipathy towards the character, and so would like to see more of him. And, you know, Beast Boy's always fun. So I'm buying Teen Titans as well, and that's a good comic. And so I feel like by giving people a certain amount of choice in the in what they're deciding to feature, they are allowing us to, you know, they're opening the door to more sales.
Yeah.
They're all like that, though. They're all like that. I mean, like, Action and Superman are pretty different types of stories. Like, Action to me feels like almost the continuation of... Action is, like, more generic crossover, superhero-y type. It's more comic booky. I know that sounds weird to say, whereas Action... Or rather, Superman feels more like Mark Waid's Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? Like, it's got that kind of vibe to it. Detective is off doing its own thing. Batman is... Like, an all-star Batman is, like, basically a continuation of New 52.
I can't buy that only because it's so expensive.
The only thing that was really still profitable out of the New 52 when they canned it were Batman and Harley Quinn. Putting Harley to the side for a second.
And for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, pretty much, probably.
Sorry, guys. None of us are grabbing Harley Quinn.
But Batman, you know, if you were a fan of Snyder's Batman, that's still out there. You can still read it. New stuff is still coming out. But if you prefer a really compelling Batman story, you can read Tom King's Batman. If you want to read something that's really inclusive and really bringing, and by inclusive I mean plot-wise, really bringing in a lot of elements of the Bat family's past that had been ignored for a couple of years, read Detective. They're really giving you that kind of choice that for a while DC and Marvel were both kind of like, no, this is the new status quo. Yeah. You can read this, or you can read reprints.
Or you can get the fuck out.
Yeah, basically.
And ironically, by doing that, they're having me buy all of them.
Yeah.
One flavor causes me to be like, okay, I've consumed that. No, okay, like, I've just read the dry Titans that, like, you know, from the classic Titans doing like generic Titan shit. I wonder what the wacky millennial Titans are up to. I better go back to the fucking comic store.
Yeah, it's like having a banana split. Like, you just ate the chocolate ice cream, now you want the vanilla, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that can be seen at Marvel too. Like, if you think about it, of the new generation of characters, which one's the most successful? I'd say, just based on who I've heard about, it's Miles Morales. And that's because, up until this point anyway, they haven't decided, alright, and so we're going to have a huge Death of Spider-Man in which, like,
Every other Spider-Man.
yeah, decides to puncture his spine with a shard of metal, and then we're going to have Miles take up his blood-soaked rags and be like, I'm Spider-Man now. And instead, they're like, okay, you want to read about Peter, you can read this. If you want to read about Miles, you can read this. Probably a lot of people out there are reading both.
If you want to read about even younger Peter, you got this.
Yeah. If you had been attached to the Peter Parker character for years, however, and all of a sudden they were telling you that didn't count anymore, and you just had Miles or you had nothing, then I think there are a lot of people that just wouldn't buy either, who would probably buy both. And so that's why I think a lot of their legacy characters aren't doing as well as they could be, is maybe because, you know, there were a lot of people out there that were a fan of the Richard Rider Nova, despite his name.
He's coming back.
He is, and didn't like the fact that he was gone. Or there's probably someone out there that was a fan of Bruce Banner's Hulk. I mean, they did publish it for like 50 years.
It's a pretty fucking safe bet, yeah.
I say that
Who the fuck is
just
that guy?
because I'm one of those people that
I only know Amadeus Cho now. Okay?
I'm not a big Hulk guy, but
Eddie Brock's Venom.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like they managed to, but by giving choice there, that proved beneficial to them. And I think that that's what DC's doing line wide almost.
Which is really fucking weird because, like, Marvel is deciding to double or triple up on every hero, while, like, DC's kind of keeping it a little simple. Which is
Yeah, no, I think
nice.
that's the move. I think Marvel went a little weird and then DC doubled down. I think that was the reaction. If you're going to look at them as competitors or some kind of yin and yang thing, Marvel went, we are changing, and DC went, we're becoming more DC-er than we have been. And that was a decision, you know. That's kind of how it seems to me.
And the great part too is that each of these comic books are also throwing in their own little uniqueness to them. Like, the Green Lanterns, it's not just a Green Lantern book, it's about the 2 new Green Lanterns now. The ones that were actually created in the New 52.
Yeah.
You know, those 2 characters, never before seen since New 52, are now co-hosting, I guess, or co-ownership of their own title. And with the Bat family, we've never seen Batman really like be okay with a team. And so he's struggling while Batwoman's being their boot camp leader, saying, look, this is a team. You got us together to do this. Let us do this. Let us help you. And it's actually telling a really compelling story about, like, just advancing these characters in their own specific way in different ways with each titles, which is why we pick up these different titles. It's like we want to know what happens next, and that's where they're really getting us with each of these titles. And that's, I think, what comes with us saying the writing has improved greatly, because, like Mark said, it was really oversimplified, and by having these characters have their different unique developments in each of these titles is really what's compelling us to grab these comic books bi-monthly.
Bi-weekly.
Oh,
Bi-monthly is every other month.
right.
You're right.
I was right the first time. So that's the end of my rant. Just these stories
No, they all have
been
a
like,
different flavor to them. They all have a
Right.
really different. I feel like one of them is like a police procedural, and one of them is a sitcom, and one of them is like a fucking anthology. You know, like it's very interesting. You know.
Do we have any complaints? This has been a very complimentary podcast so far. Is there anything Rebirth has done shortcoming-wise? You can be as micromanagement as you want about this.
I have to get really small to like start picking fights with the stuff that's in there.
Okay. How small are we talking? Like, Adam?
Yeah.
I guess I would just be like,
Where is the Adam?
Like,
we're gonna find out.
but yeah, yeah. And Ryan Choi's back. Great, awesome.
Yeah.
That was good. They like killed him off in like a bit part in a weird comic like years later. It was so dumb. Anyway, so I'm happy about that. But like, if I had.
As
Okay,
for
I
hate.
still don't like Hellblazer. They haven't done that since they took it away from Vertigo. The funniest thing has been Garth Ennis using John Constantine in Section 8 because he just mercilessly mocks how deballed the character has been. You know, he's not even able to light his damn cigarette anymore. Like, he's like He has to wear this stupid space helmet, and he's got a gun that's called the Hellblazer, and it looks like a Buck Rogers gun from the 1950s, and he's just ashamed of himself and just misses the days when he was allowed to be cool.
I used to have 2 cool covers, mate.
And so, like, it just, he's flying around on a Silver Surfer surfboard, like, ashamed of himself. It's just like, so, but outside of that, they really aren't doing Hellblazer justice in his own comic. They need to give that to, like, Young Animal or something and just get it the fuck away from their mainstream DC Comics. Constantine isn't that. They need to know that. Do away with it. They are letting the, cart pull the horse a little when it comes to Suicide Squad, because unless I'm mistaken, there are at least 2 Suicide Squad books on the shelves right now, Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad Most Wanted, not to mention the Harley Quinn books.
I didn't even know about Most Wanted.
Most Wanted is like a 6-issue mini.
Okay. And then the big crossover this year is going to be Justice League versus the Suicide Squad, when, unless I'm wrong, the entire point of the Suicide Squad is, hey, you know those guys the Justice League are always beating? What if we team them up and send them on special missions? So there's not really much of a who's going to win there. The only thing is they know that they're putting in some phantom redacted third team that they're not talking about in the solicits, but just blacking out so that people will know that there's some reason to tune in. And I feel like the only reason they're doing this is because there was a very
Successful
popular
movie, yeah.
Suicide Squad movie.
Yes.
100%.
And that-
Yeah.
It's the
Even though
weirdest fucking thing for their first like big crossover.
That's how I feel about Civil War 2. Like, I mean, that story is much better than this. Like, I'm sure it will be overall, but yeah, it's just
It depends on who that third team is.
It's a guided play, yeah.
If they're just going to tell me, oh, it's the Justice League of America that we announced the week afterwards, then okay,
Or-
fuck you guys.
It better be JSA or Legion.
If it's the Justice Society or the Legion,
I'll buy
that
it.
could be
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
It would even be really odd to see the Titans come in. Like, if it's like,
Yeah.
stupidest comparison, but remember the invasion in professional wrestling when
Yeah.
the WWF was fighting WCW,
That's
but by
smart.
that point the
Yeah.
WCW sucked.
Yeah.
So they then had ECW come in and get added to WCW so that there'd even be the illusion of parody.
Yeah.
Well, if, like, the Titans for some reason come and start helping out the Suicide Squads, that it's not just the Justice League, like Superman, like picking Deadshot up and hammering his face into the ground for 5 minutes. Like,
It'll be more interesting. I
yeah.
don't want to fucking watch.
Not to mention, I actually don't think there's a Superman villain on the Suicide Squad, so...
I think
we're
they
not
just
even-
artificially put General Zod there.
Oh, okay, so
But,
we actually
yeah.
have someone who fought Superman
Yeah.
before.
But my last real complaint isn't a complaint, it's me being an impatient dickhead, which is in the DC Universe Rebirth special, they planted a lot of seeds about a lot of cool stuff,
None of it has come to fruit, really.
and they're doing it in very parsimonious little bits and pieces that they're flicking at you.
Yeah.
So, like, in the
It's
latest
weird
issue of
'cause-
Batman,
It's just so fucking weird because like everything feels like it takes double time because since the double shipping everything,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh wow, I've read 2 issues of it this month. What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we see in the background of the last issue of Batman, like, Saturn Girl's still there, she breathes on the window, draws a little Legion symbol in the fog, and you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Or in, like, the last issue of The Flash, they finally reference the original Jay Garrick, and they're like, he's out there, he's coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know, I read the special where they mentioned the Justice Society, I know he's coming, but God tease me about it a little bit more. And then I read recently, they said that that the whole DC Rebirth has been planned out as a 2-year cycle.
That's fucking...
So that means that it will likely be the summer of 2018 that we finally see the...
You can't be rebirthing that long.
I think that that's fine. I
don't
would
know.
much rather. I feel like the reason that the writing has been so good has to be because it was written well ahead of time.
I feel it might be momentum right now, like based. Like I feel like Rebirth won't feel as Rebirth in another 4 months.
See, I don't know. Yes and no. Apparently they're planning on doing waves like they did with New 52, which at least worked for the first 2 waves
Yeah.
for New
Yeah,
52.
for Hawk and Dove.
Is Hawk and Dove actually going to be one of them?
I hope so.
At this point, I think Justice League of America is the only one that's been announced. But
I just really hope they do something better with this one, where it doesn't turn into another kind of escapade with Pandora, where like we get these little snippets of her everywhere, and then they realize that, oh wait, we're actually going nowhere with this character, and then just throw her like balls deep into the pool of whatever kind of storyline they had at the time.
Speaking.
Yeah.
Yes. It was, I believe, Forever Evil, and just you had a whole bunch of information flowing. Not all of it made sense. You kind of realized they did not know where they were going, and it makes me really happy you mentioned that they planned this out ahead of time to be like a 2-year cycle, so they're really
I hope
looking for a long game.
It's just like a lot of cock teasing, and
So-
then they just fucking just rip it all out. Like,
What I was glad to hear was Jeff Johns only wrote that first issue, and then he kind of disappeared off into movie world, and a lot of us were a little worried without the guiding hand at the ship that it wouldn't be as good. That was a very weird hand motion to go with that, guys. I
Dr.
apologize.
Manhattan
I mean, just kind of added to that.
Universe, you know, it's just like, I'll keep you hard. Don't worry.
But
That's really smart. It's like it's a really good metaphor.
Like, this will climax satisfactorily. Don't worry.
But I was fuck me if I can't remember what title it was, but it was the writers of one of those comics was saying that they sat down. Oh, it was the writer detective was talking about how him and Jeff Johns sat down and planned out the whole thing surrounding the death of Tim Drake, like beat for beat almost, like months and months and months ago, which is a good thing because I think the way they're doing that is a little smarter. You know, they could kill him off like they killed off Jason or Damien and then get the exact same thing. I think they knew that they could kill off Tim like they killed off Jason or Damien, and that then they'd have some stupid resurrection story 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Where they're like, blah, Lazarus Pit, blah, Superboy punching reality. And it would be dumb, and no one would like it, but they'd deal with it because they like the character.
Yeah. I picked up Titans, or Teen Titans rather, one, and it wasn't all the way caught up with like all the Bat titles, and I'm like, what, Tim Drake fucking died? Like, I had no fucking idea, you know? It didn't impact my reading whatsoever, because I'm still catching up. And actually, I thought I was all caught up, but I still haven't seen Tim die. But it's not bothering me, whereas when they killed Damien, right, it was like, that was a fucking awesome story. Like, the death of Damien was fucking great. And then, like, a month later, he's back alive, and it felt, like, unceremonious and pointless.
Yeah.
You know, so, like,
With like Tim Drake, it felt like 3 panels of like, what the fuck? And then like everything's kind of reverberating through it.
Yeah.
Complaints, very few, because like the books that like I vetted out real quick early on, like Aquaman is probably something that I'm not going to be into. There's a couple comics that I'm just don't plan on reading. So that doesn't bother me. Like, there's a couple shitty books out under the Rebirth banner, but with a major comics publisher, there's always going to be shitty books, so just ignore them. The fact that you had a chance to make Tim Drake be named Robin again and didn't take it is fucking stupid.
They did.
No, he's still always been Red Robin, as far as I'm aware. Batman told him you could have been a Robin.
In the last issue of Detective, they make some reference about, or no, maybe it was Teen Titans. In one of them, somebody's like, you think you're Robin? You'll never be Tim Drake to Damien or something.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that... whatever.
In the Teen Titans, also Pennyworth did mention how the other Robins always had a team, and that's why Damien goes out and captures his.
So I think
in Titans they did reference a little bit that Tim Drake was a Robin, if just slightly.
there's also the possibility that it was a mistake.
Okay.
So like
Editorial fucked up again.
Yeah,
like-
which is understandable
So-
when you're churning shit out this quick.
in the Rebirth special, they changed Black Wally's dad from being Rudy West to Daniel West, so that Red Wally could be Rudy's son again.
Yeah.
Rudy!
But then they messed it up, and in the first couple issues of The Flash, they still had Wally Black talking about his uncle Daniel, who is now his dad. And they just had to retcon that in the most recent issue of The Flash and be like, that guy who said he was your uncle was actually your dad, to make it line up. But like you can tell it was just clearly that the Flash writer didn't get the memo on that specific change to the West Allen family tree. And so it could be something like that where the writer either messed up and called Tim Drake Robin because, you know, we all know he was Robin.
Yeah.
Or it could be that he was meant to have been Robin and they just threw in that line of dialogue that was wrong early in Detective.
No doubt.
Either way, probably a mistake somewhere along the line.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. It's also like the most minor complaint imaginable. It's like the name of a character and like a little bit of his history. So long as you're writing him well now, I don't really care, you know? Not really a complaint, more of a fear. I really can't see this Watchmen storyline panning out well. I just don't like all the shit that they've thrown in so far about like the Alan Moore characters appearing in the DC universe haven't been good. Like the best parts of the whole Rebirth thing so far to me has been everything that hasn't involved that. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm reading Titans really right now specifically because it seems to be the most in tune with the big reveal.
Yeah.
But like holy shit. It's just, I don't think that it can resolve itself in a way that
is meaningful.
It's not going to live up to your hype. Like, those characters are too epic.
I think it's a bad idea from the get-go. I just think it's a goofy fucking wacky idea. Like, and I'm missing parts of the story. Like, I'm not caught up on everything, so I don't know everything that Dr. Oz, I'm doing air quotes right now like a complete douchebag, but who I think is Ozymandias. I don't know everything he's been up to, but it's like, how can you do that? Well,
yeah, that's.
No one in here has the answer.
I think that
might
might
be
be part of the reason that they're doing that delay, that they're holding off on the culmination for 2 years, is because
they don't know. They don't know.
I think that might be part of it. I think they also might be trying to milk it, like. That's a really good opportunity to jump the shark.
Have you seen Nice Guys? The Nice Guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. They fucking just like pretend they're onto something and then they'll come back 3 days.
like Lost.
Yeah.
Like I figured out so early on, like they have no idea where they're going with this show. They're making it up, fucking, you know, week to week. And
Smoke monster.
Yeah, just come on. Like Dr. Manhattan is like the fucking that little smiley badge is the fucking like smoke monster of
Lost.
But you have to admit, it was used to great effect in the DC Universe special itself.
To great effect in the same sense that like fireworks satisfy on the 4th of July. Okay, it was like a shallow joy.
Sure. But it worked.
Yes.
And we haven't seen them do anything else yet. Yeah, okay. I know. Dr. Oz is almost certainly Ozymandias. He hasn't done anything egregious yet. Abracadabra might be Dr. Manhattan's descendant.
I have to. What the fuck?
He's a sufficiently weird and out of tune with continuity enough character that I'm okay with that. The most recent Joker might actually be the comedian. That's just a fan theory. I hope it is, because that would make me kind of vomit in my shoes a little.
It's a horrible idea. I don't even like the idea that whatever this quote-unquote 3 Jokers thing idea is stupid. I don't care if it turns out to be good. It's a dumb idea. Like,
I don't care if
it's always been 3 Jokers. Ha ha ha. It's like, what? Like, you can't, like, what do you mean? Like, why does that have gravity? Like, why should I care about that? That sounds dumb.
It just makes the world's greatest detective look like a terrible detective.
Although, it makes me wonder which one of them's corpse the Jokers have in Batman Beyond.
Okay. Did issue 2 of Batman Beyond come out?
Well, issue 1.
Okay,
yeah,
alright, so the second one.
Is Terry back?
Check that out.
Yeah, Terry's back.
Yeah,
Terry.
Back in black.
Needs a fucking
Why
movie.
the fuck did they do that after having like Tim Drake and like
He was being
Futures and
held
shit?
captive by the Spellbinder. So all that Futures End shit happened. Bruce is dead. By the machines. All that shit happened.
Damn, he's like
But
fucking feature
then
chunks.
at the end of Tim Drake's run or whatever, he frees Terry from Spellbinder. And I don't know what happened to Tim after that. He probably disappeared because his younger self had been taken out of continuity. And so Terry's back as Batman. He's out of practice. He's got his little brother and his friend Max.
Yeah.
Max.
Cinemax hit the road.
Back back in
Connections have been made.
back in like the Batcave, telling him what to do, and he's like fighting Jokers, and the Joker's got one of the Joker's bodies, and like cool stuff, like kind of classic Batman Beyond. So
It's like the first.
Cool.
I mean, it's only.
Did your joint just crack, or is it your hand?
no, my joint just cracked. When I did
Okay.
that.
You little fist pump, and I thought he snapped like at the end of it, but I just looked over.
I
He didn't move his
fist pumped
fingers.
and my knuckle popped, but you know.
It's fascinating. Anyway, for me personally, I haven't had too many problems either, but it's just been like character gripes, like Helena Bertinelli. That character had a lot of weight and gravitas in the fucking Grayson series throughout. I thought it was a really good series, and I felt like she was a really complex character, more than I've ever seen of any version of Helena Bertinelli ever. I was like, wow, I actually give a fuck. It's amazing about this character who I thought I would never care about. And the transition into Rebirth kind of has neutered her a little bit. I mean, at the end she had a mind wipe situation at the end of when she teamed up with Grayson to take down Spiral, etc., etc. So I know that they can use that as a reason for her shift in character. But I feel like in Birds of Prey, she's not nearly as smart. She's not really as
Matronly.
yeah. It's kind of a weird book. And to be honest, I'm only reading it because it's Batgirl and the Birds of Prey. I'm not like
Who else is in there?
Black Canary.
who I will address in a second.
Is that the same Black Canary that is in Green Arrow right now? Okay. I wasn't
Yes.
sure if they split that character in
Which
half.
I've also read. Which I think I'll
Did
just
you
go
nod or
into.
shake? Was that a yes or a no?
Yeah, it was yes.
I'm not complaining about Black Widow in the same sense I'm complaining about Helena Bertinelli because I haven't really enjoyed Black Widow for a while now.
There.
Okay.
You have been enjoying Black Widow.
Black Widow is amazing. Fuck what I just said. And that fucking alternate version of Brando. Black Widow is sick. Mark Waid is a god. Same thing with fucking Edmondson and Phil Noto. That guy is the best artist who ever lived besides Alex Ross. But no, Black Canary, I haven't really been enjoying her for a while. And New 52, they tried to give her a solo book, which I retracted down a little bit, Dan. I know you're probably so happy that I was actually reading Black Canary in almost bulk for like 2 days, only to really dislike it. And I know Mark is laughing.
She's in a punk band.
Yeah. Mark's like, Brando,
You fool!
Batgirl and Black Canary are the same characters, and I'll just be like, fuck you. But you're kind of right. But anyway.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, she's in a punk band. It feels really weird. Like, I don't feel like a character's ever had that kind of identity. Not the punk band identity, but like a solo? She's never had solo success, has she? Like, ever. Really. She's always been like a tertiary, secondary character.
I've only ever enjoyed.
Must have.
I've only ever read her in teen books.
That's the
Ever.
thing, and I don't-
Ever.
She was popular in a teen book, which was Green Arrow
a
and
teen book,
Black
though.
Canary.
I feel like
So
she's...
they're like
Justice League shit.
split character.
I feel like
Or
the
she
character...
teamed up
Yeah.
with Starman in the 60s, or she was in an anthology
She
with
was-
Flash and
she was Flash,
Hawkman
yeah,
in the
you were-
40s.
She doesn't usually carry
She's
her
really
own book.
never.
I don't think she's a character that has been designed... Not that she can't. I'm never saying that about any character. You can definitely evolve something to something else. That's like a really strange singular statement, but I just feel like there's the potential there for Black Canary to be a solo success, but I feel like
To make her a solo success, though,
they're not doing it
means
though.
to go and like destroy her from Green Arrow.
Kinda, yeah. It's hard. She's a tricky character, and I feel like she hasn't really found her footing. Just haven't really been enjoying her with Birds of Prey, and then I read Green Arrow, and I happened to find her in there, and I was like, oh, I guess they just fucking retract what they did from New 52. They're like, okay, this solo book thing isn't really working out. We're gonna put you back into the books where we might find success with you. And I still feel like they're not finding any success with that character. I feel like they don't have any idea what to do with Black Canary. I'm not even a huge Black Canary fan, but it's like a study in my brain. Like, it just became a fixation after a
Because
little
you
bit.
like chocolate teeth.
Chiclet Teeth? I like Laurel. I was watching season 1 Arrow at work today.
Why would
Which
you do that to yourself?
She's crazy,
it's on TNT.
man.
It's not even on CW. It's on TNT. I don't know why.
And
And
once they hit a certain number of episodes, they can put it in syndication on cable.
dude, like, I didn't hate it. I mean, it fucking sucked. Like, it was the first. It was like, but like, but I mean, she showed some chops.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. Yeah. Some acting chops, brah. Nah, man, I love that actress. Katie
Katie Cassidy.
Katie Cassidy. I keep getting the fucking last name and first name mixed up.
Who's The other one. Who played her sister?
Sarah, who plays Sarah still.
Yeah.
Because she's not
It
deceased.
was also Katie, wasn't it?
Is it
Katie Watts?
She's a dime as well.
Sarah Lots.
No, Sarah's her name in the show.
I digress. Black Canary, they're they're having a lot of trouble with that character. Otherwise, I'm having a lot of fun. I really couldn't say I'm having too many problems. I'll probably come back to that if I can think of anything else, but no, I've been enjoying Rebirth as a whole, overall. I feel like it's complementing a lot of things. Dan, you're starting to sway, so I guess you want to strike like a cobra.
I was just looking at the glitter in your beard.
Is there still glitter in my beard?
Glitter beard.
I fucking showered in fucking Disney World. Like,
That's just what happens when you shower there. They put glitter in the
quick secondary story. I don't know if we're actually going to keep this, but in Disney World, we told everybody every day that it was Margie's birthday. So everywhere we went, it was her birthday. And so, like, at the Kingdom of Magic, they're like, oh, Bibble and Bop, like the local fucking fairies threw fucking glitter all over her hair and shit, and they threw it all over my sister's hair and my sister's friend's hair, and I tried to avoid it, but they like threw their glitter at me.
So I
got
in
my
the local fairies throw shit at me.
Yeah, those assholes. Dad told me to make wishes on it. I told them to fuck themselves, but anyway.
They don't understand like northern East like America, like East Coast Americans, like that's like fucking assault. Like
Yeah.
pull teeth, like don't fucking get glitter near me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll fucking pull your teeth out with pliers.
That was
Yeah,
such
I know,
a
yeah.
Philly response to it. Make a wish. Why don't you fuck off? That's my fucking wish right
I'm
there.
gonna throw joy into the air near you.
Go
I got
fuck
an aluminum
yourself.
bat in my fucking trunk. Like, give me fucking joy on that side of the fucking street.
This is really funny. We were talking about this as we were talking about, like, this comic book brings us so much joy. We love this kind of joy. But that joy? Nah, you keep that joy away from me, you
This is the
fucking...
You
escapism.
told the mouse to fuck off.
No, because I'm looking at a fucking grim, like awful, depressing, suicide-inducing Philly November. Okay, so I need the escapism of Gotham City, I guess.
Well, at least I don't live there, oh jeez. Look at these giant-ass monsters towering up the town again. What
Yeah.
the fucking hell?
Yeah.
Oh my god. There's a complaint for Rebirth. Fucking not enough glitter. Anyway.
Then again, I
The
haven't
bat
been reading
signal
really.
shoots out glitter every time just to make people feel a little bit better. That'd be something the Joker should do.
I guess note to self, take another shower to fucking clear off fucking the mouse cum on my hair. Like, anyway.
Smell the merchandise.
Brenda, please re-ask your question.
What do you not like about Rebirth, if there's anything you don't like? No,
Well,
he says no.
Dan is still thinking. Green Lanterns. Really good book. We're doing another arc, for those that don't know, called The Phantom Ring, which is once again some sort of epic, sort of world-ending threat that happened years ago. And please, Green Lanterns, you can slow down. You don't have to have one epic threat to the entire universe after another. Like, just have them having to save one planet is epic enough. You don't always have to introduce another world-ending device to have the Green Lanterns go and be Green Lanterns.
Do you think Hal Jordan's actually dead?
From what I've read, he's not in any particular trouble. I mean, he's kind of in trouble fighting against Sinestro, but I haven't read
Yeah, that whole fighting
the
your
next
arch
issue
enemy
yet.
thing.
But
What do you mean?
he's only getting ready to fight Sinestro.
Okay,
So
so
they
you
have
didn't
to find
read
out.
this week's
So I
issue,
haven't
and
read
just
this
kind of
week's issue.
spoiled that for you?
Yeah,
They're
just a
probably
little bit.
arguing to kill Hal Jordan. That's a pretty safe bet.
Okay.
So probably I didn't spoil anything. Probably.
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 Unless you did.
Unless I did.
I think if they were gonna kill Hal Jordan, like we
The
know
comic book
about it,
wouldn't be
like,
called Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Ghost.
That
that
too.
would be quite a bold move, but like I feel like we'd hear about it 6 months in advance, and like there would be a giant like anticipatory funeral.
Though they did that with Tim.
Yeah,
They
but
had
he
him
wasn't
like
really dead.
no, but I'm saying like in the previews and all, they had him on the covers for like the next issue at least, if not the next couple.
Fuckers!
And then when the actual covers are released, there's nothing standing there where they
They do the
superimposed
same
him.
thing with Lois motherfucking Lane.
So what if then they did? So what if the next issue of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps comes out and the title line reads John Stewart and the Green Lantern Corps?
That'd be pretty crazy.
That'd be bold,
I
yeah.
respect that.
But no, like, I mean, in general, I'll still read it. I love just the Green Lanterns in general. Even if it's not Hal being my favorite, still like Guy and John Stewart. But I just want them to slow down a little bit with, because like the rookie Lanterns, and I'm focusing mainly on the Green Lanterns title itself, because I feel like Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps is following a good kind of continuation from the New 52 where it started, and kind of bringing them back, and has been a good flow right now with that. But having these rookie Lanterns, one of which can make just one construct. That's all she can do right now, is make one singular construct. And just having a world-ending device fall into the rookie Lantern's hands, it's like, can we please slow it down a bit? That's all I really want with the Green Lantern titles. I feel like them being space cops is interesting enough without it having to be universe ending.
Okay, I understand. How about we move?
Did you have any weaknesses?
Oh yeah. You're
Yeah,
shaking your
Dan.
head. Go ahead, Dan. If you have any left in you, or any at all.
I just
I-
assumed
I-
because
I
sometimes
really-
with rage and hatred for things, I assume there'd be something that has pissed you off.
Blue Beetle.
That is actually one big thing. Like,
You got
there's
mad at
only
me when I
been
said I
2
liked it.
issues of Blue Beetle so far.
Didn't you like Dr. Fate?
I didn't read Dr. Fate.
I felt someone did in this room besides you.
I read Dr. Fate.
You know, I don't give two fucks about Dr. Fate and his new fucking Indian, like, scion or whatever. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Fate. But, like, they canceled fucking
dead.
Jaime Reyes in the New 52 to go and put him in Terminal 7. And then they brought back Blue Beetle with Ted Kord. Thanks for that, guys. And he's, like, vaguely annoying in the background. So it's like, I don't really know what to fucking think of the title so far. It's like, oh wow, it's Ted Kord. I missed you. But why did I miss you? Because you're really annoying right now. Shut up. Just shut up.
It's like Ted Kord. I feel like Ted Kord came back, but now he's Elon Musk.
I was thinking the exact same thing, but with a more positive connotation. Because I idolize Elon Musk. I'm like, and because I'm enjoying this Blue Beetle run.
Like, I don't know, high five and like go fucking see Booster Gold or something and get the fuck out of this book, okay? Like, either be about old Blue Beetle, Justice League International Blue Beetle, or like be about brand new Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle. Fucking pick a goddamn side. Oh, you're Magic again? Fuck, that's awesome. I think, I don't know. Everything that I thought about Blue Beetle that I thought I knew at least 3 times before is false.
Welcome to Blue Beetle fandom.
Fuck, man. Like, pick something. And Hellblazer? Dude, okay. I thoroughly enjoyed the original Hellblazer. Thank you so much, Mark. And then it ended, and I didn't get to read the ending because I won't spoil myself. And I picked up the new fucking 52 shit. And then I had to stop following it, and then I picked up the next, like, fucking Constantine the Hellblazer. Then the Hellblazer. How long does it have to be before you're like, you know what? Maybe he likes it when, like, demons blow coke into his asshole. You know, like, straight up, like, Scorsese stuff. That's okay. That should be a fucking K! But it's not okay, and it bothers me because you're about 3 issues in, and I don't know what to feel about the series so far. So it's like all the main fucking like superhero shit is so cool. Thank you so much. you understand it. But anything that's like in like the peripheries, unless like Gerard Way is doing it, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, okay, well, yeah, as Mark said earlier, give Constantine to young Animal because you don't know what the fuck you're doing at all. You don't know how to make something like for like older people that have like weird, I don't know, interests. Also, because everything's double shipped.
Sound like only serial killers. Constantine.
For those of you
adults with select interests.
Fine tastes, and I'm 2 issues in. I have yet to see a demonic cocaine enema.
I need to see my sexualized cocaine dealings.
Like, I'm imagining like Hannibal Lecter reading through like Hellblazer, like the new one, and just like throwing it down. Like, no, this will not do. This offense.
Then he like goes back to like the old Hellblazer, grabs a
in
comic, and then like
Constantine.
grabs like a human heart or something and starts eating it while reading one of the old Hellblazers.
But like, it even feels like it's a little more tame than he was portrayed in like Swamp Thing in the 80s. Which is saying something, because that was not like, that was like a Comics Code protected book. Like, that was like...
That's like Supergirl. I'm trying to enjoy Supergirl. Supergirl's part of DEO.
Fuck
But
that.
there's no Dr. Bones, Professor Bones, Director Bones.
That's it.
It's gonna suck, man.
You know, like,
Not gonna be a
I'm
good
trying, I really, you know, like the art style at least, or fucking Superwoman. Lois Lane is dead. Did you fucking hear, guys? Lois Lane is not Superwoman. Wow!
It's the wine. Wine activated.
Okay, I like Lana Lang. I think she's really cool. But I
She's
guess
definitely my third favorite LL.
my biggest like fucking thing right now that's crazy is that it's New 52 Lana Lang. It's not old Lana Lang, which is weird because old Lana Lang is new Lana Lang, so everyone that's old is new except for fucking Superman. You will answer this question I have. You will fucking do it because I am sick. I have piles in my room, piles everywhere of comics and shit just fucking to the fucking sky. And what the fuck will you do about these goddamn piles? Okay? You won't do a goddamn...
Back to the piles.
Cut in that like
Pile.
Max Headroom clip of like my piles. And, like,
I don't fucking understand it.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't even know what to complain. Is your complaint that you have too many comics now?
No.
These are the scrawls on the wall. Like,
So much shit to break down in this. Okay, wait.
Okay.
Lana Lang. Okay.
the old Lana Lang is the new Lana Lang again, except she's not.
And
Which
she's Wonder Woman.
is a complete statement. It's like okay, wait.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that they haven't explained what New 52 Superman is.
Dead.
He's dead.
Possibly sad.
But here's the thing.
but most
The
of the
thing is that they have established in this continuity that New 52 Batman is also pre-Flashpoint Batman, but it's with 10 years stolen
And his memory
from Dr.
hacked
Manhattan.
about. Right.
And the same thing applies to everybody else. Except for fucking Superman. Where Superman is like, what was New 52 Superman? He's like some fucking like sand monster, obelisk, golem, fucking Jew demon from hell.
He's just like grabbing every
Like,
single
what the fuck is he?
Okay.
Yeah, we might have to Mel Gibson edit that shit out of there.
I'm just gonna put like a moose sound
But
in there. or
You
something.
just grab like
No.
every like what if tale of Superman and just put it into one
Here's-
little like thing.
Post Crisis Superman, pre-Flashpoint Superman,
Going
right?
back
Right.
for DC Comics.
Secretly lived a life of seclusion while the New 52 was happening. Then New 52 Superman died. Post-crisis Superman jumps out, is like, da da da, Richard Donner, cue the Richard Donner music.
But he shouldn't be two separate characters. He should be the same guy.
I get what you're saying. But here's what I think. I think that whatever Dr. Manhattan is fucking is he's only fucking Primer. Alright?
Okay.
Which we found out recently is also New Earth. There are certain things that are outside of that sphere. So remember that little map of the multiverse that came in Multiversity that nobody actually thought would matter except Chang, and Chang ended up being right. The Speed Force wall around the outside is outside the multiverse.
Okay.
So the reason Wally is pre-crisis or pre-Flashpoint Wally is because he was in that. The reason Barry can remember Jay now is because he's went into the Speed Force briefly. When Wonder Woman wraps the lasso of truth around her, remember the Sphere of Gods is outside that multiverse too. So that's why we're finding out, and in recent issues of Wonder Woman, that the Themyscira on Earth is just kind of a representation that the Olympians she'd been interacting with were avatars, and that the Olympians and all the beings related to them, like the Amazons, exist somewhere outside of that. Where I'm coming around to Superman is that Superman came off the Convergence planet, right?
Okay.
Which was not in the Prime Earth multiverse. It was elsewhere in the multiverse. Okay? Because it had things from Earth 2, Earth 4, whatever.
Okay.
So if we're saying that it's not in the Earth Prime multiverse, I'm saying that Dr. Manhattan didn't impact that world. So, we get Superman from post-Infinity Crisis, pre-Flashpoint Superman, right?
I have to
We
use
put
visuals
him-
for this part.
We put him on Convergence World, all right?
Okay.
Meanwhile, the world reboots. He himself is rebooted. Okay? He's still in Convergence World, but there's a reboot him running around too. Convergence ends, he gets put back on Prime Earth, which has now changed. So now both Supermans are running around. Post-Convergence, Superman dies. The other possibility is that they're both fake, and that's what Dr. Oz means when he says that one of you is you aren't what you think you are, and neither was the last Superman.
Well, that was thoroughly confusing.
I
There's also
followed
that
what you're
crazy
saying.
close-
No, okay.
I followed most
That was
of it.
Ironclad,
Yeah,
but it still ends with a to be determined.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's
that's
for
yeah.
sure what it is.
Yeah.
I'm saying that that's
Okay.
what I would assume makes the most sense.
Also,
Or
that-
one of them, or both of them isn't real. Or
I think that's them also
third
writing
possibility,
in
right?
like an escape door.
Yeah.
Like whichever one fans seem to gravitate towards
Well,
most will probably
okay.
be the answer they go
In
with.
the most recent issue of like Superman or some shit, I forget which one. I'm reading all the super books now. Did you hear? That Lois Lane was like, I don't want anyone to like live without me. People couldn't stand it, and that would make everyone really sad. And it's like a note to everyone. So it's kind of like, oh, it's like a permission letter for pre-Flashpoint Lois Lane to assume New 52 Lois Lane's life.
for Brown Lois to go take over for Black Lois.
Right. Exactly. Which is like really, really weird. Because she is like
And
kind
no
of...
one will notice that she's supposed to be 15 years older than her counterpart.
She
Apparently.
just has a young looking face.
Either she has a young looking face, or the first Lois Lane was such a hag that we now know why Superman went with Wonder Woman in the New 52. Is because she looked 15 years older than her actual age.
You've always had those
Damn.
crow's feet low.
It does make me wonder. Hang on, I'm like doing math in my head.
Well,
What was that revealed in?
What?
Where did that actually happen and what
Action.
I'm quote? Okay, action. Because, like, I'm following so much Super at this point, I don't even know what the fuck is happening where.
Yeah,
anymore.
I'm having fucking mental.
Like a solid breakdown, in the background.
I've been having a 4-month-long breakdown because reading this shit. I'm the type of dude I usually, basically, you could say that I wait for trades, right? I wait for a comic book to build up to the point where there's 60 issues, and then I read all of it at once as though it were a gigantic novel. Reading shit month to month is breaking my brain, even though that's the way you're supposed to read comic books, and it's silly. But then, reading, the 2 comics that tie into each other and stuff like that, it's hard to keep track of, you know?
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah,
I'm in that same boat.
Me too.
So I think that's just about everything I plan on touching on for this podcast. Is there anything, in conclusion, you'd like to say about Rebirth as a whole? I feel like that was our opening statement, but if you have any new feelings and anything revelatory after this podcast.
I really love all these miniseries they're doing. It seems like, though, not only just giving us other glimpses as to what's going on in Rebirth and showing us other characters that we love that we have not seen yet, like Hawk, and I'm sure Mark can read these off better than I can, but just showing us what else is going on in the universe. And also, it feels like they're testing the waters, very much vote with your money. If you enjoy these characters that have been coming out, like the Atom, go and buy these comics and show DC that you want more of this character, and I'm sure they will, print out more series with them.
I really like the first issue of The Death of Hawkman, even though I don't think it's going to be the last time we see Hawkman in the near future.
Actually,
But
we should probably keep going.
It's really odd because the first issue of a miniseries called The Death of Hawkman has Hawkman in maybe 2 pages of it. It's an Adam Strange comic, which makes a lot of sense because I think it was solicited as Hawkman and Adam Strange, and they changed the name later. But I like it. It's pretty clear that they're going to kill off Katar Hol so that it won't be confusing when Carter Hall comes back with Jay Garrick and the rest of the Justice Society.
So that isn't
Whenever that
inherently confusing.
And their names even sound similar. Katar Hol versus Carter Hall.
It's so fucking telling of everything I love about comics and everything that makes it unrelatable to everybody who doesn't have the same mental problems that I have, right? That's just the baseline level of confusing that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Basically,
No one's mentioned Hawk World yet.
Maybe we'll get to it, maybe we won't, don't sweat it. You know what I mean? It's like post-crisis Superman has replaced New 52 Superman. That sounds like fucking gibberish to anybody, but it's so simple by the standards of this stuff, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many loose ends. I listed those discrepancies on the template when I put that out, how they're going to transition the JSA into all this. Because, there is the Hawkman Adam Strange miniseries that you're mentioning, and it's but where does that leave Earth 2 comic that's currently being published? It isn't Rebirth. It doesn't plan to be Rebirth. It doesn't plan to be canceled. How is that affected with the overall continuum of
I
Earth?
don't think that was affected, honestly.
Yeah, let it just mumble on. I perceive that as going on like Morrison's Batman type stuff,
But
kind of mumbled into New 52.
Well,
It's
the
not formalized.
Flashpoint happened only to this
But it won't
Earth.
keep
No,
keep
it didn't.
going though because
No, it vibrated through.
In Thy Kingdom Come, you see Earth 2 pre-Flashpoint, and that's got the Justice Society Infinity, who are different from the Wonders of the World that we saw post-Flashpoint. So we know at the very least Earth 2's continuity was shifted as well. Probably the rest of it was too, but I think Earth 2 is the only other Earth that we saw significantly post-52, pre-New 52. Jesus, you're right.
Perhaps.
We are getting into medieval theology
Okay,
level of
but
debating.
did
non-real
you-
stuff.
No, it's like the
They
Tears of the
reboot,
Seraphim. No, it's fucking psychotic. But that's what's fun. Is
Okay, but did Rebirth affect Earth 2 then?
Rebirth only affects Prime Earth.
Okay, so I suppose that's
Flashpoint
why.
affected
the multiverse.
the multiverse, but not outside of it. So not the Sphere of the Gods, not the
Okay.
Speed Force.
But at the same time,
Not like Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Earth 2 issue 17 is labeled the final fate.
Well, then
of
maybe
Earth
it's
2.
canceled. I don't know.
But it's not canceled in any announcement. I feel like it's been.
I think it's just ending. I think a lot of those titles are just ending. Not
Okay.
just like being
I
titled,
don't
but finishing
know.
their runs.
I would guarantee you, though, that Earth 2 stops coming out sometime before the new Justice Society book does.
I mean, it has to.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, also, I think this would probably simplify everything. Post-Crisis, pre-Flashpoint, DC Universe, the Justice Society were just old. They weren't from Earth 2, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the correct. They were just.
Yeah.
old.
So they could just show back up again.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's where I find the
think-
rebirth.
I
Fucking
think what they're
retirement home.
going for
Metal
is
home.
the post Thy Kingdom Come world, where, but pre-Flashpoint, where on the main Earth, the Justice Society are around and they're heroes from the 1940s that are, as Jim said, old. And then there's another younger version of them bouncing around on Earth 2 as well, but they won't have their own title and will probably just be referenced rarely, if ever.
I can see that. Can't wait to hear
Either
more.
way, they gotta do something with that shit, especially after referencing them in DC Rebirth with Sandman. Or was it Sandman?
No, it was
Johnny
Quake.
Thunder was in
Johnny
DCU
Thunder.
Rebirth,
Yeah, that's it.
and then Jay Garrick's helmet just turned up in the Flash.
Yeah, he keeps on calling for the fucking genie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legion.
Uh,
Is there anything?
it's clearly on the table still. They kind of fucked themselves with that one. I don't really know where they're going to go with it. Whether they're going to say that the New 52 stuff still happened. Because, okay, so they said the Legion wasn't affected by Flashpoint.
Okay.
But then their sales dipped. And they decided to say that, wait, maybe this isn't the Legion for Prime Earth. Maybe it's the Legion for Earth 2. Except we've already said a bunch of stuff that doesn't line up with the existing Earth 2 as we know it. And then it showed Brainiac 5 literally having a mental breakdown trying to understand it in the final. Like, literally, that's how New 52 Legion ended.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Together, we're trying to understand this and they're having the same meltdown.
Yeah, Brainiac 5 had a meltdown trying to understand Legion continuity. It's basically how the last Legion series ended. So, yeah, I don't really know how they're going to do that, but I'd say if they could catch the Lightning Saga in a bottle twice, that'd be nice.
Well, we'll see.
They clearly haven't forgotten about it. The girl who I'm presuming was Saturn Girl was in it in Batman last issue, and in the most recent issue of Action Comics, Superman talks about Saturn Girl, so we know that he remembers still.
Okay, that's
Oh,
that.
snap, I gotta read that.
But no, it's just like a throwaway line, like Lois is like, I didn't know mind reading's one of your powers, and he's like, you don't have to be Saturn Girl to know.
Yeah.
Alright, still, I like to read that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Dan, any final comments?
I really enjoy DC Rebirth. DC Rebirth is fantastic. I just need everything to go forward quickly. I mean,
Keep
It's
taking
just-
my
it's
money.
really, like, I have so many piles.
Okay,
And-
that's it. You lost your privileges.
No, I haven't, because it just seems like
Dan,
everything's
Dan.
in accelerated time, and because I'm living in accelerated time in fucking Flashland, okay, that
Can you
That
tell me
things
about your
aren't-
piles one more time, though? I don't think I
Eating his
quite
hands,
know.
Trying to avoid this conversation.
Okay. This is Piles. Accelerated time. Please.
Going up to bat for DC Comics, trying to understand Dan's request, Jim Anderson.
No. I'm giving Dan a platform.
Dan, I'm eating my hands because you're complaining about piles just because I know that I have to move shortly, and the amount of comics you have here, I would love to only have to move that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. I look fondly on the days of only having piles.
It reminds me of this
My thing's
phone
a-
call I heard once where a guy ate like an entire sheet of pot brownies, and he called 911 because he thought he was dying, and he just kept screaming that time was moving too slowly. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess everything's double shipped, or most things are double shipped. It's so confusing because it's so slow, and yet there's so much good characterization. It's like it's everything that I want, and yet it's like it takes double the amount of time for stuff to fucking resolve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keep doing what you're doing, but do it better.
Work harder. Better. Alright, Dan, thanks.
Especially
Faster, stronger.
Harder, better, faster, stronger. DC.
Okay,
It
Pookie
only
Pig.
makes me piles.
I really like DC Rebirth. To say that Superman and Titans are two of my favorite books going is no exaggeration. But what I think I'd most like to take a moment out here and talk about, rather than things that I would normally recommend, are I'm reading Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns, and I'm reading Aquaman, and I'm reading Deathstroke, and these are not comics that I would really buy. And I like them, and they are all doing interesting things in interesting ways, and
It's Priest writing for this
yeah,
one, right?
I mean that one should have been pretty, like, okay, he's definitely one of the top writers there. But I think that's the other thing that really surprised me is
Lack
they
of
had
star
like
writing, yeah.
what?
Lack of star writing.
Yeah, is that like Christopher Priest is on Deathstroke, Abnett is on Titans and Batman Beyond. No, he's on Titans and Aquaman, and Dan Jurgens is on Action and Batman Beyond.
King's on Batman.
And Snyder's on All-Star Batman. That's the A-list.
What about
People
Rucka?
are saying King now.
What about Rucka?
Oh, yeah, and Rucka on Wonder Woman.
What did you say Tom King has reached that level yet?
Now he has. But
definitely
keep in mind,
has.
a year ago, he was what? Grayson guy?
Grayson guy.
Maybe Grayson
Nope.
guy and Vision
guy.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Grayson guy.
But, I mean, you gotta admit, Grayson and Vision aren't aren't
They're-
Batman.
They're
That's
New
right.
Jack classics, is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
they're fucking fantastic. But, I didn't know his name 4 months ago.
He was
and
not-
now he's like, holy, like, I love seeing that
He
name.
was up and coming. He wasn't yet A-list.
Yeah.
Now I'd say he is. But starting out there, they didn't have a lot of A-list talent, and yet quite a few of them. I'm not sure who's writing Detective, but that's good.
James
Is it
Tynion.
Tinian the Fourth? Like, he sounds
Yeah.
like a Game of Thrones character, but
He
he's writing
does.
a great comic book.
And Patrick Gleason's work on Superman is just blowing me away week after week. And I have to say that at first I really doubted that they had the stable of creators to possibly carry through a bi-weekly schedule. Actually, I suppose it is semi-monthly. Bi-weekly would imply it's every other week, whereas semi-monthly implies twice a month, regardless of whether or not there are 5 weeks in that month. So semi-monthly. But I wouldn't have thought that they had the kind of stable to pull that off. And they do. And that's cool. And I'm happy.
If I remember
Yeah.
correctly, that was also one of your biggest fears, is
Yeah.
that we don't know these writers, and the fact that they've been pulling this off for 4 months straight, like, amazingly.
Doing the equivalent of 8 months worth of work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm hopeful. So hopefully hope will triumph over fear in
Jeff Johns would, it always
Yeah.
does.
That goddamn hippie.
Dude, I have to. I got a tear in my eye when, Bob
yeah.
was like, "It was a good life, thank you," and I was like, he's just giving the fans one final send off, and then it was like, nope.
Gotcha,
He got
bro. Yeah. Oh
How
yeah.
could I forget you?
Really
Yeah.
good comic. It's a great comic. Alright, guys. That's all there is for this day.
Oh, anyone got solicits?
No solicits this week. No more solicits.
Okay, no more solicits for this week. Next week we'll do solicits.
Have a good night, guys.